That's right, 2 in 1 week. Because we have midweek fixtures, and these are probably going to come pretty thick and fast for the because obviously over Christmas the Premier League fixtures tend to kind of like bulk up a little bit, although I might have to do some which are like combine like midweek and things like that, because otherwise we might have like crazy amounts going on. But this week, as you can see, 56 points, or this midweek, I guess, 56 points, which I'm really happy with. I could have got a little bit more if I'd have adjusted some things, but that's always the way of things, isn't it? The average was 47, so we were 9 points higher than that, which is increasing our rank. We're now in 800,000 for England. I don't know how many people there are in England. We're in the top 10,000 for Crystal Palace, although there probably is only 10,000. And 2.3 billion overall of like, I think there's like 5 million, so we're probably around about midway on that. So after some shaky weeks, I think I'm beginning to build up a little bit. So yeah, how did we do? Well, as you can see, it was generally a steady kind of week for us. Salah, Kolasinac, Decor, Gomez all getting good points, Kane and Jesus as well, and then some other disappointments, especially around the captaincy area from Morata there. Very disappointing, but that's the way things go really. And I mean, as in terms of games for the week, it was like really good games, wasn't it, going on? All sorts kind of going on. Now I brought in Morata and Jesus. I swapped them out for Lukaku for Morata and Jesus for Vardy. How did that work out for us? Well, Vardy did get a goal and did technically get like 8 points, so he was 3 points higher than Jesus, so I guess you could say that was a bit of a failure there. And Lukaku got an assist, so he was on he got 5, so again we lost a few points there. We lost like 5-6 points there, and if I'd have made Salah captain, we obviously would have got an extra like 13 points. But hey, that's the way life goes, isn't it, really? Salah backing up once more my comments that he is the most informed player in the Premier League at the minute. I'm not saying he's the best player, I'm saying he's the most informed, and that really goes back to the beginning of the season. If you watched Liverpool then, you see Salah was missing chances after chances, but the fact that he was getting those chances meant that once he got that sharpness in with the finishing, he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. And once more, he's proving that Chelsea have let a lot of very good players go. They seem to have really good scouts to bring in these players like De Bruyne, Lukaku, Salah, and then they seem to let them go really easily. And yeah, imagine the Chelsea team if it had Salah, De Bruyne and Lukaku in it right now. Yeah, anyway, let's have a look at the game. So the Brighton Crystal Palace one, really not that interesting a game actually. I guess as a Palace fan I'm happy with the point. Overall, we look at us in the table, it doesn't really do too much for us, but I guess we're 3 points away from safety now. I think we were 4 before, and we play West Brom in our next game. And yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because guess who West Brom just appointed as their manager? Alan Pardew. Oh yes, another ex-Crystal Palace manager in the West Brom hot seat. So that will be fascinating. That would be really interesting actually. I'm looking forward to that match. I don't hate West Brom as much now because they don't have Pulis anymore. Obviously they got rid of him, but that will be an interesting game. But yeah, overall I guess we're kind of happy with that point. It's the away draw to Brighton, who are in pretty good form, although a bit dodgy, but they're in okay form. But we could potentially drag ourselves out of, if we beat Brighton by like 5 goals, West Brom by like 5 goals, 5 or 6 goals, we could potentially like drag ourselves out of the relegation zone. So you know, it could happen. Yeah, we'll see. like we potentially could have won. And then I guess a late win at Stoke there as well. Stoke, who once again lost and are getting themselves dragged right back down. Huddersfield as well, I said about them, had a great start, but generally feel like they're going to struggle this season. So Leicester putting off, I'm sure it was a shock for most people in beating Spurs, but Spurs just seem really inconsistent at the minute. What's their form like? So lost 1, lost, drawn, lost 3 of their last 5 games. That is nowhere near good enough form to be top 4. Look at the guys above them. There's only 3 losses in all of those teams, and Burnley go above them. Worrying times for Spurs. I think Spurs are struggling in games after European. I think they're struggling with squad size. I don't think they've got good enough depth, and as a result, because they're in the Champions League as well, I think they're struggling from that a bit. But you got to ask yourself, are they going to end up in the Champions League next season? I think we can pretty much write them off from winning the league this season. They're 16 points behind the leaders now. Fucking hell. They're only 4 points off 4th place, so they can do that, but they gotta get some form pretty soon, I guess. But Leicester, I think, are making themselves pretty safe. I think Claude Puel doing a decent job since he came in. That's a really good win for them. He seems to have got Vardy back scoring again, which is good. Mahrez on the team sheet as well. It's fascinating to me that Mahrez is still a Leicester player. I can't believe someone hasn't brought him, or Vardy even. But there you go. I thought they would have gone last season, let alone at the beginning of this season. But it's crazy sometimes, I guess. Fair play to Leicester for hanging on to them. But yeah, Spurs, they need to. They need something. Who have they got up next? They've got Watford. Oh God, Watford, who lost to Man United after doing pretty well, but Young was on form. Actually, Young's such a weird player. He's ex-Watford as well, which is quite hilarious. But he's a very strange player. Some game you'll not hear about him for 3 months, and then all of a sudden he'll pop up and do what he did there. I think he got a free kick as well, didn't he? But Decore did score for Watford, so happy there. And West Brom v Newcastle 2-2. Apparently Newcastle only scored 1 goal. That's weird. It's not an own goal either. That's strange. Why has it done that? Because usually it will have 2 next to it, won't it? If he scored 2. I don't know who scored this. I must admit, I didn't see any of these games because I only watched half a match of the day. But I watched this half, so that's good. But that's a little odd. But yeah, Pardew going into West Brom for their next game against Crystal Palace. That's hilarious. If only he'd been in for this one, he could have played against 2 of his old clubs. Newcastle are, they're only 5 points off, and look at that, 4 losses and a draw, so they needed to stop the rot there, and at least they did. But it just goes to show, in the Premier League, from about 9th down, no one's safe. You can't, it's crazy to think you're in a league, and you're in 9th place, and you're we're not anywhere near being comfortable here. I'd say probably Watford up are fairly comfortable. I'd be very surprised if any of these teams had such a dramatic dip in form that they would finish below mid-table. Watford, the possible exception if Silva does leave, although that seems unlikely now as Everton have filled their managerial position with, yes, Crystal Palace ex-manager Sam Allardyce. I'll talk more about that, I guess, with the Everton game, but it's going to be interesting. I think from Leicester down, all these teams are potentially in danger. Obviously, these teams have got way more of an advantage, probably from Everton upwards, and I would be surprised if the bottom 3 wasn't made up of one of these teams from Huddersfield down. But it's still nowhere near safe for any of these teams. If I was to make a bet now as to say who would go down, potentially say Stoke, Swansea, West Ham. So yeah, that would be my 3, and that's coming as a Crystal Palace fan, where I'm optimistic about us being able to survive. But I wouldn't blame anybody if they were like, yeah, Crystal Palace are going down. Anyway, moving on. Arsenal 5, Huddersfield 0. What a weird game this was, because I didn't feel that Arsenal played that well. In attack, they played like vintage Arsenal, like really good moves, great link up play, scored great goals. Ozil was on fire, 2 assists and a goal. Giroud getting a couple, Kolasinac getting an assist. Well done, my lad. Although, watching the game, there was like 2 opportunities where he should have scored, but he didn't, so that could have been even better. That could have been immense. Lacazette looking good, but they just seem to give away possession really cheaply to Huddersfield, and if Huddersfield probably had a little bit more quality up front, I think they could have punished Arsenal, and I don't think it would have been 5-0. I think it would have been a lot closer, but as it was, Arsenal just kind of ran away from it with it. Yeah, it was a weird one. I mean, fair play, like, Arsenal in attack, I will say, looked really, really good. Really good. As I said, Ozil, that was his game. Like, he just ran that place. And yeah, that puts Arsenal up into 4th now, on a good run of things really, although they did lose to Man City, but so is everybody else really, apart from one team. And does anybody know who this one team that drew with Man City was? That's right, Everton. Of all the teams. Oh my god, Man City have got West Ham at home next. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, West Ham fans, that's probably not going to be pretty. But yeah, no, fair play. I've always said I'm not a massive fan of Arsenal, but credit where credit is due. That was a very interesting game to watch. But I think against a bit like better opposition, they would have been punished a lot more. Bournemouth beaten by Burnley. What is there to say about Burnley, really? Like, they just keep on going, don't they? 25 points now. They'll just, I'm sure if you spoke to someone Dyche, you'd be like, we just want to get to 40 points, we just want to be safe, and that's job done. But they're doing really well. Like, when you think of how much money Burnley spent compared to like Liverpool and Arsenal and Tottenham, yeah, even like Watford and Leicester all spent way more, I'm sure, than Burnley. Like, that's pretty impressive. They just got a really good team. And Chelsea, I guess, disappointing that they didn't get more, although, like, at the end of the day, they are winning games. They have won 4 of their last 5, albeit most of them 1-0. It's like Mourinho's back in town, right? The only one they drew was to Liverpool, so they've had 2 hard games in there and come away with 4 points, and they've had 3 what you would say as games they should win, and they've won all 3. I wouldn't say they've been particularly like outstanding, but that's all you can ask at the end of the day, is to win those games, and that's what they're doing. Rudiger getting the goal again, disappointed. Morata, I really thought he was going to get a goal there. I should have known better, shouldn't I? I should have known better. Never mind. Do I stick with him? We'll have a look actually in a minute and see who the games people have got up next and what we're going to do. But Everton 4, West Ham 0. A Wayne Rooney hat-trick. This was an interesting game, wasn't it? Because West Ham are terrible still after their draw, I think it was. Didn't they get a draw? Yeah, they got a draw with Leicester, and they played well in the second half, and I must admit I thought they were going to give Everton a game, but this was David Unsworth's last game in charge as caretaker manager before Sam Allardyce, yes, the ex-Crystal Palace manager, who said he didn't want to be a manager anymore. Don't worry, Crystal Palace will get about $3 million in compensation because he's taken a job within a year, I think, of leaving. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, if you look at his hat-trick as well, it was really good. Rooney played really well. The last goal in particular was like, a complete mix-up where Joe Hart came out for a ball. Well, not really a mix-up, but Joe Hart came out for a ball when really probably shouldn't have, and it fell to Rooney, and I think he was 58 yards out, so he was inside his own half, and he just walloped it in. Like, it was incredible control and technique. I don't think anyone's ever doubted Wayne Rooney's ability on a football. With a football, he's probably, I would say, he is England's probably best, or at least top 3 best ever, like, footballers, as in like ability on the ball, up there with someone like Gaza, you know. But in a similar way to Gaza, fitness is really what has let him down a little bit. If England ever get that player who could combine the ability of, like, you know, someone like Rooney or Gaza, but actually looks after themselves properly, we would have one of the best players in the world. But, and I mean, to be fair, Rooney was one of the best players in the world in his day, and it was kind of like turning back the clock a little bit with him. He hasn't played brilliantly well, although 7 goals in 14 games is not the worst kind of record ever, although obviously this does make it look a lot better, especially the team which has struggled as much. But without doubt, I think he's going to be a big player for them going forward under Allardyce. I'm pretty sure Allardyce loves Rooney, so he'll be fine. Whether or not he'll play midfield or up front, I don't know. He was kind of playing in midfield for Everton. And I was kind of watching Match of the Day, and they were highlighting a lot of the tracking back he did, and he looked really good. Like, a lot of people have kind of taken the piss out of Wayne Rooney in the past, but like, if he plays as well in that game, in like the majority of the rest of his games, then Man United will probably feel a bit sad about getting rid of him, I should think. As for West Ham, I mean, yeah, that's to lose that badly to one of a team who were, you know, only 2 points away from you and in trouble with relegation with a caretaker manager. That's shocking, really. So, I guess I don't know where West Ham are going now. What was worrying about the West Ham performance was that, like, a lot of their players just didn't seem to care. Usually when a new manager comes in, you always have that, you know, 4 or 5 game streak where everybody's pumped up with a new manager and feeling good, and it looks like West Ham had that for about one half of football. And now I don't know where they're going. Like, I feel sorry for West Ham fans. I think David Moyes was a terrible appointment. There's an argument to say, well, who else was there? And yeah, that's a good question, but why are you sacking managers if you don't know who you want to bring in? And I guess they did know who they wanted to bring in, but there's something about Moyes, I don't know what it is, he just feels like a spent force, like the Man United job just broke him or something. It's kind of crazy to see the downfall of him like that. But there we go. Man City 2, Southampton 1. If you didn't see this, you don't know what happened. Basically, Man City went 1-0 up. Southampton brought it back to 1-1. It was the 96th minute, and Sterling curled in from the edge of the area with a fantastic goal. I can't believe Sterling has 9 goals this season. That's really good. Really, really good. I think he's got like 14 in all competitions or something. The guy's playing really well, which can only be a good thing for England as well. But yeah, Jesus got his assist. De Bruyne, I was thinking of bringing it to midfield. I probably should have, but I think he's really expensive now, 10.1. I wanted to bring him in instead of striker, but I had too many strikers. But he is quality. I have no idea why Chelsea let him go. No idea at all. But there you go. And yeah, Man City, you could see the way they celebrated that they, you know, there's no letting up from them. I mean, if they hadn't won that, they'd be on, well, if they drew it with it, they'd be on 38. They'd still be 6 points clear of Man United. But they don't want that. They want that 8 points. They want that big gap. They want that win streak. I think it was 12 games win streak or something. First time in their history. And yeah, it's really were saying like it's easy to hate on Man City because they've spent so much money, and they have spent a lot of money, like building up their team. But when you look at, and you can look at Guardiola and go, okay, he's he spent all this money, he should win the league. It's a totally valid point. But when you look at how good players like Sterling are playing, a player who did not play that well for Man City before and who had a lot of potential at Liverpool, and that he's having the season of his life now, and one of the reasons for that is Guardiola. So like, you can argue and say he's brought in a lot of players, but he is making players play better. Fabian Delph, like everybody wrote that guy off. The guy's playing well now. You know, albeit in a strange position as well. De Bruyne, everybody knew De Bruyne was a really good player, but he didn't look like the world-class player that he does at Man City now. And like, you don't want to say he spent all this money and everything like that, of course, but you have to get the quality out of the players. How many times do we see a club spend a lot of money on a player and it not work out at all? It's no guarantee of winning, you know, to be fair to Man City, and I know they have probably spent the most, but Man United spent a lot of money, Liverpool spent a lot of money, Chelsea and Arsenal spent a fair bit of money, and they're nowhere near as good as Man City are right now. So there we go, I guess. Southampton did not play badly in the game, I didn't think at all. They're struggling for sure. I think they're going to be okay. There'll be an interesting match when they play Bournemouth next, I guess. And then Liverpool 3, Stoke 0. Salah, as I said before, is just on fire. Mane, they could have had a lot more. Stoke, I think, a lot of decisions went against them, and they will feel hard done by. But they need a win somewhere, because like, they've lost their last 2. You can feel hard done by in both those games. Probably they've drawn 2 before, and then beat Watford. But like, they've got Swansea next. They really have to win that game or get at least something out of it to stop Swansea getting points and stuff like that. But it's gonna be tough, isn't it? Crystal Palace, they're the only team in the bottom 4 with a win in the last 5 games. That's interesting. So next week, or sorry, not next week, but at the weekend, who have we got? We've got Chelsea, Newcastle. That'd be a tight game, I would imagine. Brighton, Liverpool. That would be an interesting game. Can Liverpool keep up this good form? Brighton are a pretty solid team. Everton, Huddersfield. Sam Allardyce's first game in charge as Everton manager. By the way, I think Everton gets Sam Allardyce is a really good move, because he will keep them up. But you always have that caveat with Sam Allardyce, that is he going to play the sort of football you want? And Everton are a big club, make no mistake. They have a big fan base, and they expect a certain level of football to be played. You know, like entertaining football. And Sam Allardyce in the past has been accused of not playing the prettiest of football. However, the caveat to that is that he has not had a lot of quality to work with in the past, and I think this is probably the best squad he's had to work with. So I'm intrigued to know what he can do. You know, England aside, obviously, because that didn't really count, did it? Leicester, Burnley. I mean, it'd be an interesting game. I'm not sure I'd watch it. Stoke, Swansea. That's a pretty big game for both those clubs. Very big. Watford, Spurs. I mean, that's a tough game for Spurs. As I said, Watford are a decent side. West Brom, Crystal Palace. That'll be a good game. Both sides need points desperately. Pardew just taking over at West Brom. By the way, I think Pardew's a good manager. Like, a lot of people make fun of him, especially since that dance he did in the FA Cup. But like, I genuinely feel like he's a good manager. He saved Crystal Palace from relegation, and like, you know, before he left us, before we got rid of him, like, I don't feel like he did that much wrong, really. So we'll see. Plus, like, I always have a soft spot for him because he's an ex-Palace player as well. So, like, I hope he does well at West Brom. I hope he brings The thing is, like, he will be very different to Pulis. He's a lot more attacking. He's a lot more about players, being like, playing football. Pulis is a lot more about rigidity, and that should give West Brom a bit of a kick on. I'll be honest, I think West Brom will win that, but we'll see. Arsenal, Man United, now that will be a great game because Arsenal are on a flyer right now, really, apart from that Man City loss. But they always struggle against big teams. So how will they do against Man United? And a Mourinho Wenger game is always going to be a bit spicy, so that will be fascinating in there, I think. Bournemouth, Southampton, I'll be honest, I don't really care about. Man City, West Ham, I'm sorry West Ham, but you're going to get battered, aren't you? Now, who am I going to make changes from? So Chelsea have got Newcastle. Do I think Morata's going to score? That's a good question. I feel like I should have another. So if we get a transfer, so let's have a look. So we haven't got anything in the bank. I could change one player. Otamendi for me is not really doing a lot, but I think they'll definitely get a clean sheet. So, and he is still playing like 90 minutes consistently, so I'll keep him in. Is Brony? No, I didn't think he was playing. Yeah. Watford against Spurs. Ooh, it's a tough one this week as to who I would get in. Chelsea at home to Newcastle. I expect Chelsea to win that, so I'm going to keep Morata in. Salah. So Liverpool have got Brighton. Obviously going to keep Salah in. He's just on fire right now. Defence-wise, I guess would be where I would change it up. Liverpool, again, got Brighton. Is Gomez going to get another clean sheet? Yeah, I think I'd leave him in there. I mean, I guess I don't have to necessarily change anything just yet. I think I won't. The deadline's in like Fridays, or like Saturday morning, 11:30. So I think I'll hold off this week. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I'll probably have a look again on like Friday night, Saturday morning, as to who to get in. I would love to get like De Bruyne in or Sterling in, but I mean Sterling's only 8.2 to be fair. If I go with Jesus, I could put Sterling in. If I get rid of, say, Jesus, now I'm making changes, aren't I? If I get rid of Jesus, I could put in Sterling. And I have 6.5 left for a striker. Okay, hang on, let's have a look. Forward. Maximum price of 6.8, I guess we go for. So we've got Abraham, but I don't think Swansea are going to do that well. Who have Burnley got? Burnley got Leicester, so I could have Chris Wood. This is a tough one, actually. I think I might go for Wood or Gray at Watford as well as doing well. And they got Spurs, though. I think Burnley have got the easier game. Do we go like that? Is that a better one than having Jesus up front? I'm not going to do that. Let me know what you think. That's a potential change I'm thinking of making. Let me know what you think, because the only thing I'm worried about with Jesus is that he doesn't play every game. When he does play, he does seem to pick up points though. But Sterling seems to be like the on-form guy. Now they're playing bloody West Ham. Whew, it's gonna be a game, isn't it? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll be back next week with another one. Let me know what you think about those changes potentially, and see you next time.